had always been a dreamer. From an early age, my mind brimmed with ambitions and visions of a life where I could make a meaningful impact on the world. My name is Mary, and my dream was straightforward yet powerful. I aspired to be a journalist. The art of storytelling captivated me, capturing the essence of people's lives, uncovering hidden truths, and contributing something valuable to society. Pursuing a career in magazine publishing felt like the perfect path to fulfill this passion. I thrived in the world of writing, constantly keeping up with the latest trends. With that goal in mind, I dedicated myself to studying journalism and media in college, putting in long hours to hone my craft. Upon graduation, I felt prepared to take on the world, but as is often the case, reality didn't align with my expectations. My first jobs were with small, obscure publications, but that didn't discourage me. I was doing what I loved, and that was enough. I welcomed the challenge of starting at the bottom. Knowing each article I wrote brought me closer to my larger aspirations, I understood that success takes time, and I was ready to put in the hard work. A few years into my career, at the age of 31, my life took an unexpected turn when I met Jerry. He wasn't just any guy, he was intelligent, kind, and incredibly supportive. We connected instantly, and our love blossomed quickly. Jerry came from a wealthy family that managed a thriving business. His father, Willie, was the patriarch, and Jerry played a significant role in helping run their vast empire. Our relationship deepened, but one shadow loomed over us: Jerry's mother, Nicole. From our very first meeting, it was clear she disapproved of me. Nicole exuded an air of superiority, always impeccably dressed and unwavering in her belief that Jerry deserved someone from a similar social background. She never hesitated to remind me of this, viewing me merely as a journalist, someone who didn't fit her vision for her son's future. Initially, her criticisms felt like small daggers, sharp yet manageable. She would casually dismiss my career, saying, "A journalist? That's hardly something to brag about," accompanied by a wave of her perfectly manicured hand. Her judgment stung more than I cared to admit, leaving me feeling powerless to alter her opinion. But Jerry stood by me through it all. Whenever his mother made a cutting remark, he defended me, saying, "Mom, Mary's work is important. She excels at what she does." Willie was equally supportive, often stepping in to diffuse tensions when Nicole's comments crossed a line. While I appreciated their backing, I couldn't shake the feeling that Nicole's disdain ran deeper than she let on. Over time, I became more resilient, trying to ignore her harsh words and focusing instead on my relationship with Jerry and my burgeoning career. I kept telling myself that if I could withstand her barbs, I'd emerge stronger. But things took a turn for the worse when Willie left for an extended business trip overseas. Nicole, not wanting to be alone, moved in with us at Jerry's invitation. At first, I convinced myself that I could handle it. After all, family matters, and I thought keeping the peace was the right choice. However, once Nicole settled in, it became evident that cohabiting was far more challenging than I had anticipated. The criticisms that I once brushed off became a daily barrage of insults. No matter what I did, Nicole found fault with it. "You're doing that wrong, Mary," she'd say when I cooked dinner, or "I can't believe Jerry married someone so inadequate." When discussing work, her relentless words made me feel like I was perpetually walking on eggshells. I tried to stay calm, reminding myself that this situation was temporary. Willie would return soon, and then Nicole would leave, but the mounting stress weighed heavily on me. Meanwhile, work was heating up. I had been given a significant project, leading the redesign of a major section of the magazine. This was the most substantial opportunity of my career, and the pressure to deliver was immense. I worked late into the night, refining designs and perfecting layouts, knowing that a successful launch could secure a long-awaited promotion. The night before the big presentation, exhaustion threatened to overwhelm me, but hope kept me going. I had poured my heart into this project, and it needed to succeed. As I sat on the couch, discussing my concerns with Jerry, Nicole overheard us. She walked into the living room, inserting herself into our conversation uninvited. "Mary, I couldn't help but overhear, but honestly, you're probably going to fail tomorrow," she said bluntly. "I doubt you have the skills to pull this off. You should just quit and focus on being a housewife." Her words struck me like a punch to the gut. Anger simmered beneath the surface, but I forced myself to remain composed. "Nicole, I really don't have time for this right now," I replied, striving for calmness. "I'm focused on my work." She met my gaze with cold, dismissive eyes. "I can't believe Jerry married a journalist. You'll never be good enough for him." That was the breaking point. I had endured her jabs long enough. "You've overstepped, Nicole," I said, my voice steady but firm. "You don't get to insult me like that." Nicole was momentarily taken aback, turning to Jerry as if expecting him to side with her. Instead, he calmly responded, "Mom, Mary's just defending herself. You've gone too far." For the first time, I saw a shift in Nicole's expression, shock mingled with anger. "You've turned my son against me," she spat, her voice dripping with venom. "You'll regret this, Mary." I couldn't muster a response. I was too exhausted, too stressed, and too focused on the presentation. That night, I went to bed with a heavy heart, troubled by how quickly tensions had escalated. Yet my thoughts remained fixated on my work, not on Nicole's threats. The next morning, I arrived at the office early, eager to finalize my presentation, but when I opened my laptop, my heart dropped. All of my files were gone. My entire desktop had been wiped clean. Panic surged through me as I frantically searched my folders. My emails had vanished, and even the trash was empty. It was as if my laptop had been reset overnight. I felt suffocated, my mind racing. I had backed up my files to my email, but now everything was missing. How could this have happened? I rushed to my boss, desperate to explain the situation, hoping for a glimmer of understanding, but his reaction was anything but sympathetic. He regarded me with disappointment, chastising me for being irresponsible and unprofessional. To make matters worse, he had already lined up a backup presenter, someone ready to step in if I faltered. It felt like the ground had been ripped from beneath me. All my hard work, all the sacrifices I had made, seemed to evaporate in an instant. There would be no recovery. My promotion was slipping away, and I was left humiliated. Tears streamed down my face as I walked out of the office, feeling utterly defeated. When I arrived home, I found Jerry still there. He had taken the day off to be by my side. Sensing that something was wrong. "What happened?" he asked, worry etched across his face. "There was no presentation," I whispered, struggling to hold back sobs. "Everything was deleted. My laptop, it's all gone." Jerry's expression crumbled. He pulled me into his arms as I cried, overwhelmed by the weight of my loss. "How did this happen?" he asked, confusion evident in his voice. "I don't know," I replied, still shaking. "I backed everything up, but even those files are gone." As I recounted the events, a troubling thought crept into my mind, one I had tried to dismiss. Could Nicole have been involved? It seemed too far-fetched, but her behavior, her smug satisfaction during my failures, it all felt too coincidental. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, yet the feeling lingered. I needed proof. If Nicole had sabotaged my laptop, I had to know for sure. Taking matters into my own hands, I ordered a hidden camera that resembled a smoke detector. After installing it in my office, I hoped to catch any suspicious behavior. A few days later, I baited Nicole by mentioning that I had been given another chance to present my work. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Oh, another chance?" she replied, her tone dripping with skepticism. "Yes," I said, watching her closely. "It could lead to a raise if I do well." A smirk crossed her face, her expression unreadable. "Let's see what happens tomorrow, then," she said, her voice laced with insincerity. That night, I reviewed the footage from the hidden camera, my heart racing with anticipation. As the video played, I watched in disbelief as Nicole crept into my office in the middle of the night. She sat down at my desk, opened my laptop, and began to type. My hands trembled as I saw her delete files and reset my system. I couldn't believe my eyes. She had done it. She had sabotaged my presentation. The next morning, I showed the footage to Jerry. His face went pale as he processed what he was seeing. "We have to confront her," he said, anger simmering beneath his calm demeanor. When Nicole came down for breakfast, Jerry wasted no time. "Mom, we know what you did," he said, his voice icy. Nicole feigned innocence, raising an eyebrow. "What are you talking about?" "We caught you on camera, Mom. You deleted Mary's files," Jerry said, holding up the footage. Nicole's face contorted in anger. "You were spying on me," she spat. "You sabotaged her work, and now you're trying to deflect," Jerry replied, his voice rising. "You need to leave, Mom. You can't stay here anymore." Nicole's face flushed with fury. "You've turned my son against me," she hissed. "You'll regret this." But Jerry didn't back down. "You're leaving today," he stated firmly. That afternoon, Nicole packed her things, her face a mask of rage as she shot one last glare at me before storming out the door. The days following Nicole's departure were oddly surreal. The house felt quieter and more peaceful, yet an undercurrent of tension remained. My job, which I had poured so much effort into, lay in ruins. The thought of returning to work was unbearable, and I found it hard to shake off the sense of loss. Eventually, I made the difficult decision to resign. I couldn't stay there, not after everything that had happened. I needed time to heal and to rebuild my career. Jerry stood by me through it all, encouraging me to take the necessary time to recover. With his unwavering support, I began to explore new opportunities, and slowly but surely, I started to regain my footing. It wasn't long before I landed a new job, one that was even better than the last. I was appointed the chief editor at a prestigious magazine, a position that felt like a dream realized. The work was challenging, but I thrived on it. For the first time in months, I felt like I was in control of my life again. Nicole was no longer part of our lives. Willie stayed in touch, and Jerry maintained a professional relationship with his father, but there were no messages from her. I didn't mind. I had moved on and was determined not to let her sabotage or negativity hold me back any longer. Months later, Jerry and I were invited to a major company event, a high-profile gathering where we dressed in our finest attire. As we entered the venue, we spotted Willie and Nicole across the room. They waved us over, and we exchanged polite greetings. Nicole's eyes scanned me critically, but I refused to flinch. I was no longer the insecure woman she had tried to belittle. I was stronger now. "So, still unemployed?" Nicole sneered, her tone dripping with disdain. I smiled confidently. Actually, I'm the chief editor at a new magazine, I replied, watching her expression closely. Just then, the CEO took the stage and called my name. I was being recognized for my work, celebrated for my leadership and innovative ideas. As I stepped onto the stage, applause erupted throughout the room. Nicole sat silently, her face flushed with embarrassment. After the speech, Jerry and I returned to our table, where Willie congratulated me warmly. Nicole, however, remained silent, her eyes filled with bitterness. For the first time, I felt genuinely free from her influence. I had proven my worth, not just to her, but to myself. As we left the event that night, a deep sense of satisfaction washed over me. The road ahead was still uncertain, but with Jerry by my side, I knew we could face anything together. We had weathered the storm, and now we were ready to embrace whatever the future held.